Alright, today's the day we learn about completing the square. We're going to start by getting rid of this third number, alright, the constant term, and we will do that by adding 21 to both sides. Alright, if I do that, then what I have is v squared plus 10v, leave a space, is equal to 21. Okay, now the number that will complete the square, the way we get that is it's going to be half of the middle squared. Alright, so half of 10 is 5, and then 5 squared is 25. So 25 is the number that completes the square. If I add 25 on the left, then I must add 25 on the right to keep the balance of the equation. Okay? And I'm just going to put a little side note here that this number came from doing half of the middle squared. And of course this over here is the middle. Anyway, the point of doing that was what happens next. If we factor this is going to factor as the same thing twice. Alright, so this is 46. This will factor as the same binomial twice. In this case, it'll be v plus 5 times v plus 5. That's not a coincidence. This is what happens when you complete the square. If we do half the middle squared, we will always get a trinomial that can be factored by doing the same binomial times itself. And the advantage of having this is that we can rewrite it as v plus 5 squared, okay, is equal to 46. Now, we can unsquare this by taking the square root. So if I take the square root of both sides of the equation, that is allowed. Please remember, whenever you take the square root of both sides, the answer will be positive or negative, plus or minus, two solutions right now. So then we will have v plus 5 equals plus or minus square root of 46. I don't think that simplifies, but any further, I think that's unsimplifiable. But just to check it out, square root of 46, yeah, square root of 46, it doesn't simplify any further. So we'll just leave it as the plus or minus the square root of 46. Now we still have to get v by itself, so we will subtract 5 from both sides. Okay? When you subtract like this, or add, and you've got a radical, you're always going to put the number in front, before the plus or minus. Alright, so with that in mind, we're going to get v equals negative 5 plus or minus radical 46. Okay, and that is how you solve a quadratic equation using completing the square. Please understand that this is two different solutions. Alright, this is a common way to write it, but please understand that this really means negative 5 plus radical 46 or negative 5 minus radical 46. Okay, it's really two different solutions. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. Let's do the same thing. First, let's move this away by adding 12 to both sides. Okay, so that's going to give me b squared minus 4b, leave a space, is equal to 12. Now we complete the square. Half of the middle squared. So half of the middle is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. So I'll add 4 to both sides. Alright, then I can factor it. And this should factor as the same thing twice, which makes it easy to factor because we know it'll be b minus 2, b minus 2. takes a little bit less thought when you know it's the same thing twice. Okay, which allows us to write b minus 2 squared is equal to 16. Alright, time to take the square root of both sides. Don't forget your plus or minus. Okay, so I have b minus 2 equals plus or minus. Now 16 is a perfect square, so this becomes plus or minus 4. Alright, let's keep going. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Alright, just for this moment, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the front still. So this is going to give me b equals 2 plus or minus 4. Now last time we left it in this form, negative 5 plus or minus radical 46. That's because, you know, even if we look at it separately, you can't add negative 5 and radical 46. They're not like terms. But in this case, we can add 2 and 4, and we can subtract. So we will not leave it like this. We will go ahead and realize that this is the same thing as b equals 2 plus 4 or b equals 2 minus 4. This is what plus or minus means. It means 2 plus 4 or 2 minus 4. So we're going to get two separate answers. So 2 plus 4, that's 6. 2 minus 4, excuse me, is negative 2. So these would be the answers. Now some kids, a mistake that I see is students will try to add these numbers now. And they'll say, okay, plus or minus 4, and then they'll add 2, and they'll say plus or minus 6. Alright, but plus or minus 6 would be wrong. It's not 6 and negative 6. It's 6 and negative 2. So please don't just add the numbers together and stick a plus or minus in front of it. Common mistake. Okay? Alright, let's look at number 3. Alright, let's get this 44 out of the way by adding 44 to both sides. So that's going to give me v squared minus 14v, leave a space, equals 44. Now, what is the number that completes the square? 49. Half of 14 is 7. 7 squared is 49. So let's add 49 to both sides. Okay, so that's going to give me, so now I could factor this as v minus 7 times v minus 7. And this is going to give me what? That's 93. So that allows me to write v minus 7 squared is equal to 93. I can unsquare this by taking the square root of both sides. Anytime you take the square root of both sides, the solution will be positive or negative, two solutions. So that's going to give me v minus 7 is equal to plus or minus radical 93. Adding 7 to both sides and just putting it in the front gives me v equals 7 plus or minus radical 93. Okay? Alright, let's take a look at number 4. Alright, let's get this out of the way by adding 35 to both sides. So then we will have v squared minus 2v, leave a space, is equal to 35. So what is the magic number that will complete the square? It'll be 1. Alright, half of negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Alright, since we're adding it to the left, we'll add it to the right to keep the balance. This should now factor as the same thing twice. So this factors as v minus 1 times v minus 1, which I could write, if I wanted to, as v minus 1 squared. Now we could unsquare this by taking the square root of both sides. Do not forget your plus or minus. So that's going to leave me with v minus 1 is equal to plus or minus 6. As we add 1 to both sides, we put it in the front. So that'll make v equals 1 plus or minus 6. Okay? So understand that this means 1 plus 6 or 1 minus 6, plus or minus 6. So that's going to give me 7 or negative 5. Okay, so those are the two answers. Now if this were a radical 6, I would have just stopped, but because they're just constants, you know, I can keep going. So let's look at number 5. Let's move that out of the way by adding 56 to both sides. So that's going to give me r squared plus 4r, leave a space, is equal to 56. Now, what is the magic number that will complete the square? Hopefully you said 4, which we will add to both sides. Half of the middle squared. So half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. If I factor this, I should now get the same thing twice. So that's going to be r plus 2 times r plus 2. I can write that as r plus 2 squared is equal to 60. And then I can take the square root of both sides. Do not forget your plus or minus. So that's going to give me r plus 2 is equal to plus or minus . Alright, 60 is 2 radical 15. Square root of 60 is 2 times the square root of 15. So we will do plus or minus 2 radical 15. Now let's subtract that 2 from both sides. Okay, make sure you put it in the front. So that's going to give me r equals negative 2 plus or minus 2 radical 15. Alright, that is the answer number 5. Alright, take a look at number 6. Alright, let's move that 10 out of the way by adding 10 to both sides. So that will give us x squared minus 12x, leave a space, equals 10. What is the magic number that will complete the square? Hopefully you said 36 is the magic number. Alright, and you got that because half of negative 12 is negative 6. Negative 6 squared is 36, which you must add to both sides. Do not forget to add it on the right. A lot of kids forget to add it on the right hand side. Now we will factor, and this will factor as the same thing twice. So this will be x minus 6, x minus 6. This is always positive, so if you see that the middle term is negative, you know it's going to be minus and minus. Alright, so we can write this as x minus 6 squared is equal to 46. And then take the square root to unsquare things, like you do. So that is going to leave us with x minus 6 is equal to plus or minus yeah, I didn't think that would simplify, and it does not, so we just leave it like that. Then we will add our 6 to both sides and make sure to put it in the front. So that is 6 plus or minus radical 46. And that is the end of number 6. All right. Number 7. All right, I think I'm going to start going a little faster now. We've done several, and they're kind of, they're very similar. So I'm going to try to accelerate the process a little bit. So we're going to subtract that. That's going to leave us with n squared minus 4n. Leave a gap. So this is going to be negative 62. All right. The number that completes the square is going to be 4. All right. Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. If I factor, I'm going to get n minus 2 twice. In other words, n minus 2 squared. Oh, okay. You know, I've been waiting for this to happen. We're taking the square root of a negative number, right? Don't forget your plus or minus. Guys, when you take the square root of a negative number, this is going to be imaginary. So we're going to get n minus 2, and this is plus or minus. Now this negative sign is going to come out of the radical as an I. So it's like I radical 58. Now, can that be simplified? Square root of 58? No, still square root of 58. So we'll just leave it like this so far. All right, so look, technically what's happening is by definition, the square root of negative 1 is I. So this negative sign under here, it's like a negative 1. And so it becomes I. So then we will add 2 to both sides, and I will get n equals 2 plus or minus I radical 58. Okay, that's how you do that. Number 8. Subtract 5 from both sides. So that's going to give us n squared minus 4n is equal to 3. The magic number that completes the square will again be 4. All right, half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. When I factor, this will give me, having deja vu, n minus 2 times n minus 2. All right, this equals 7. So I can write this as n minus 2 squared is equal to 7. Then I can take the square root of both sides. Don't forget your plus or minus. And then I will have n minus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 7. Go on to add 2 to both sides, being sure to put it in the front. So that will give me n equals 2 plus or minus radical 7. Okay, let's find number 9. Okay, now let's write this in standard form. Honestly, this 14n is going to have to get back over here, and this 95 is going to have to come over there. That's what's about to happen. So to make that happen, we are subtracting 14n from both sides. All right, I'll go ahead and do it in 2 steps. That would give me n squared minus 14n minus 95 is equal to 0. Okay, now it looks like a standard form quadratic polynomial. But then we will get rid of the negative 95 like we've done several times today. So add 95 to both sides. So that's going to give me n squared minus 14n is equal to 95. Half the middle squared. So half of this is negative 7 squared is positive 49. So I'm going to add 49 to both sides. All right, that should give me something that I can factor as the same thing twice. So n minus 7 times n minus 7. This is going to give me 144. So I can write this as n minus 7 squared, and that's equal to 144. Then I can take the square root of both sides. Do not forget your plus or minus. So that will give me n minus 7 is equal to plus or minus 12. All right, 144 is a perfect square. 12 times 12. All right, adding 7 to both sides and being careful to put this in the front is going to give me n is equal to 7 plus or minus 12. Okay, what space do I have over here? So let's just bring that up here. So I've got n is equal to 7 plus or minus 12. That means 7 plus 12 or 7 minus 12. Okay, so that means 19 or negative 5. So these are the 2 solutions for number 9. Let's take a look at number 10. For number 10, I'm going to bring everything over to the left. So I'm going to add 2n to both sides. So that's going to give me n squared plus 2n is equal to negative 93. I went ahead and left my space. I'm thinking ahead. Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. All right, this will factor as n plus 1 twice. All right, so I can write that as n plus 1 squared. And then I can take the square root. Now, remember what I told you. Oh, don't forget your plus or minus. Well, that's almost crazy. So that's going to be n plus 1 is equal to plus or minus. Remember, the square root of a negative number. That negative is going to come outside as I. And then I've got the square root of 92. Let's see if that can be simplified or not. Oh, look at that. It's 2 radical 23. Okay, so I've got n plus 1 is equal to plus or minus. Now, this 92 we saw was 2 radical 23. Guess what? The I goes in the middle. So we'd write 2i radical 23. And then we will subtract 1 from both sides, being sure to put it in the front. So that will give me n is equal to negative 1 plus or minus 2i radical 23. Man, my voice is tired. Can you hear how tired my voice is? It is Friday, So hopefully over the weekend I'll be able to catch up on my sleep. During the week, I do not get enough sleep making videos, helping kids before school, after school. Let's do like we did before. I see a trouble coming ahead. There's this number in front. So far, every problem that we've done has had a leading coefficient of 1, no visible number. But for the first time, we have the coefficient, so let's be really careful with it. But for now, let's do the normal thing, minus 18n minus 18n. So that's going to create 9n squared minus 18n, leave a space, and that's equal to negative 77. Now, focus. We will not do half of the middle squared right now. All right, half of this is 9. And squared, it would be 81. I'm not going to add 81 to both sides. That would be wrong. We have to get it so it's just n squared. So we are going to factor out the GCF on the left side over here. You see the common factor, well, okay, not including the variable, just the 9. We're going to factor out the 9. So this would become 9 times n squared minus 2n, and I left that space, is equal to negative 77. Now we will do half of the middle squared. Half of 2 is 1, 1 squared is 1, so I'm going to add 1 over here. Now, focus. I am not going to add 1 over here as well. I got to do something, but it looks like I added a 1 over here, but I didn't. Because of this 9 out front. All right, this 9 is all ready to do the distributive property. Bam, bam, bam. So imagine that I went ahead and did the distributive property, and that will tell you the value that I really added to the left side. 9 times 1 obviously is 9. So I really added 9 to both sides. So I'm going to put this plus 1 here, but recognizing that it's really 9 times 1, then I will go ahead and add 9 on the other side. And look, I'm just going to do it and then erase it, but please understand, imagine I went ahead and did the distributive property. I would get 9n squared, okay, minus 18n, okay, and then I'd have 9. Well, let me make that red so it stands out. Then I'd have plus 9. And then, I'd have the rest of it. So negative 77. And here I've added 9. Okay, if I did the distributive property, you would see I would have this. Now, looking at the blue compared with the green that I just put, you see I have 9n squared minus 18n. 9n squared minus 18n. And then all of a sudden I have plus 9. So of course I would need a plus 9 over here to balance it out. Okay, so it's important to know what you put over here. You have to multiply in your mind, and that will tell you what to add to the right hand side. Okay, so we're not really going to distribute. That's not part of the process. I just wanted to show you why it was 9 that we're adding, why really it's 9. So let's get back down to business. Factoring. We will keep this 9 out front, but this should factor, as always, the same thing twice. So this will be n minus 1, twice. And this is going to be negative 68. So that is going to give me 9 times n minus 1 squared is equal to negative 68. Now, I am not going to distribute the 9. All right, you can't distribute when the parentheses is squared. So instead, I need to divide by both sides by 9. Okay, so I'm going to divide by 9 like this. Okay, so this is going to give me, because these 9s will cancel out, so now I have n minus 1 squared is equal to negative 68 over 9. Okay, so this is shaping up to be a little ugly, but that's life. Gotta deal with it. Time to unsquare things. So let's take the square root of both sides. Do not forget your plus or minus. Okay, now I'm gonna have to drag this up. I need more space. See, maybe I'll draw a line like this. Okay, so I'm bringing this up over here now. So these, the radical and the square cancel out. So we will have n minus 1 is equal to plus or minus. Now this negative sign is going to become an I. Okay? So I've got I, and I've got the square root of 68 over 9. Alright, so you have to be very careful about how you use your calculator on this next step. You're going to be tempted to take the square root of this fraction, 68 over 9. But if you do that, if I do the square root of 68 over 9, I'm going to get this decimal. And you know, this is rounded, it's an approximation. We don't want any decimals. So we need a different way of doing it. So this is what you do. So got plus or minus I. Radical, when you take the square root of a fraction, it's the same thing as the square root of the top divided by the square root of the bottom. Right? You could just take this, the two square roots separately. Alright, so this is going to give me n minus 1 equals plus or minus, okay, I. Now, square root of 68, I still can use my calculator if I do it separately. So the square root of 68, that's 2 radical 17. Okay, so it's 2 radical 17. Alright? Now I told you that when you have a square root like this with a number and a radical, the I goes in the middle. So I'm really going to take this I and I'm going to put it between the 2 and the radical 17. Alright, so it's 2I radical 17. Now, the square root of 9, lunch duty in 5 minutes. The square root of 9 is 3. So this is what we have so far. Alright, plus or minus 2I radical 17 over 3. Alright, of course we still need to add 1 to both sides, and we're still going to put that 1 in the front. So that's going to give me n equals 1 plus or minus 2I radical 17 over 3. Alright, that is an ugly answer, but sometimes they are. That's how you do number 11. Now I just glanced at the answer key for this one to kind of check my work. And I'm seeing that this is the form that they're writing their answer in. But please understand, well, number one, understand that having two separate answers like this is the same thing as having plus or minus. But also understand that this whole fraction has the same value as what I wrote. Writing one big fraction and putting a 3 under it is the same thing as writing see this 3 plus 2I radical 17 in the top. I could take this 3 and put it underneath each side separately, like this. Put a 3 over here, put a 3 over there. But what's going to happen to these? It's going to be a 1. So that becomes 1 plus 2I radical 17 over 3. And it'd be the same thing over here, so that's plus or minus. Okay, now looking back at what I had, 1 plus or minus 2i radical 17 over 3, it's the same thing. So don't be worried by the fact that it looked a little different. Alright, I better go serve my lunch duty, because that's my duty, man. But, you know, you won't miss me. To you, it'll be like I never left. Alrighty then. This 18v is going to have to be over there, so let us subtract 18v from both sides. Okay, so that is going to give us 9v squared minus 18v. Alright, and right now I've got plus 5 is equal to 0. Let's move this 5 out of the way by subtracting 5 from both sides. So that'll give me 9v squared minus 18v is equal to negative 5. Do not try to take half the middle squared right now. You need to factor out this 9. Let's factor out the 9, GCF style. So that's going to give us 9, and then v squared minus 2v, leave a space, equals negative 5. Now we will complete the square. Half of this is 1, 1 squared is 1, so we'll do plus 1. Again, we will not add a 1 over here, we will add a 9, because this is really, if you look at the distributive property, this will quickly become 9 times 1, so I really added a 9 over here. Okie dokie. So I'm going to have 9, and then when I factor this, it's going to give me v minus 1 twice. Alright, so much of this looks really familiar. I feel like if I scroll back, I'm going to see almost the same thing again. Anyways, over here I've got 4. So what I have here is 9 times v minus 1 squared is equal to 4. Okay? Okay, so I need to divide both sides by 9 now. So I'm going to do that. If I divide by 9 on both sides, like so, alright, because these will cancel out, then what I have is, alright, I have v minus 1 squared is equal to 4 over 9. Now it is time to take the square root of both sides to unsquare this bee's ass. Okay, do not forget your plus or minus. Alright, now we know the square root of 4 and we know the square root of 9. So this is going to wind up being plus or minus 2 over 3. Square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3. So just kind of do it separately. You know what I'm saying, but I'm just going to write it out. Okay, that's what's happening. But I'm going to put it up high because I'm out of space down here. Okay, I'll put my line right about there. So, bringing this up here, I have v minus 1 equals plus or minus 2/3. Now, I will add 1 to both sides. Okay, and put it in the front for now. So that's going to give me v equals 1 plus or minus 2/3. Now, we will not leave it like this, alright? The fact that this is a fraction does not give us an excuse to leave this separate, alright? That's only when there are radicals involved, alright, or imaginary numbers. This has neither. In other words, we can easily add these and subtract these. So please understand that what we have here, okay, if we split up the plus or minus, we have 1 plus 2/3 or 1 minus 2/3. Those are the two solutions. So 1 plus 2/3, okay, that's 5/3, and 1 minus 2/3, that's 1/3. So 5/3 and 1/3. So these would be the two solutions. Okay, let's check out number 13. All right, this is going to have to come over there. So I'm going to have, well, I'll show it. So we're adding 8n to both sides. So this is going to be 4n squared plus 8n plus 31 equals 0. All right, but let's move the 31 out of there by subtracting. So that's going to give us 4n squared plus 8n, leave a space, is equal to negative 31. Do not take half of the middle and square it right now. Not while there's a leading coefficient that is not 1. We have to do the GCF over here on the left. So I'm going to have 4 out front, and that'll be n squared plus 2n, leave a space, is equal to negative 31. Okay, so inside of here now, half of 2 is 1, 1 squared is 1. I will not add a 1 over here though. I will add a what? I will add a 4, because it's 4 times 1 really. So I'm going to add a 4. Okay, so this is going to give me 4 times n plus 1 twice. All right, so that's negative 27. And then, so that's 4 times n plus 1 squared is equal to negative 27. So if I divide both sides by 4, to get rid of that 4, okay, and this is where I got to bring it up. Okay. So far, all right, so right now I have n plus 1 squared is equal to negative 27 over 4. Time to take the square root of both sides, guys. So if I take the square root over here, and I do the square root over here, don't forget your plus or minus. Now, not only do I have a fraction, but that's a negative number, so that's going to be I is about to come out of there. Okay? So that's going to be very much like this. So I'm going to have the n plus 1 part, all right, because the radical and the square cancel each other out. Now, look, just to be clear, so I have plus or minus. For a moment, let me just, let me do this in baby steps. First of all, let me split up the numerator and the denominator. So I'm dealing with the square root of negative 27, and I'm dealing with the square root of 4. Those are the two things I'm doing right now. So that's going to give me n plus 1 equals plus or minus. Now, here in the top, all right, that negative sign is going to come out as an I. So I have I root 27. Now, the square root of 4 is 2. Okay, so I've got 2. Now, radical 27 can be simplified. Square root of 27, okay, is 3 radical 3. So this is going to become, so I have n plus 1 is equal to plus or minus. Now it would be I and then 3 radical 3. Except for I just told you that if you have a number and a radical like this, the I actually goes in the middle. Okay, so I'll just move the I over. Boom. So I have this. Okay, last but not least, I will subtract 1 from both sides and carefully put it in the front. So that is going to give me n is equal to -1 plus or minus 3i radical 3 over 2. Okay, that's a terrible looking n. But that's it. Now probably if I look on my answer sheet, it's going to look different. But whatever I see on the answer sheet, it's going to be the same value as this. Let's take a look just for fun. Okay, see the 3i radical 3 and the 2. We have 3i radical 3 over 2. They're just making this like 2 over 2. Anyway, it's the same thing. All right, let's do number 14. Okay, man, how many of these problems are there? This just keeps going and going, man. I don't know if I can finish during this my planning period here. Okay, would it be possible for me to speed up at all? I'm gonna try, but then I just messed up. Just like that. As soon as I said the word speed up, I messed up. So this is gonna give us 6k squared plus 12k, leave a space, is equal to 18. Do not do half the middle squared right now. Bring the 6 out. So that's going to be 6k squared plus 2k, leave a gap, is equal to 18. Now we'll do our half the middle squared. All right, which would be 1. Am I going to add a 1 over here too? No, I don't think so. I'm going to add a 6. You got it. Add a 6, because 6 times 1 is 6. Okay, I hope you understood that. Factor this twice, so that'll be, all right, it seems like, man, it's the same stuff over and over and over again. All right, and this is going to be 24. Yay. All right, so that'll be 6, and then k plus 1 squared is equal to 24. All right, dividing both sides by 6, and I get k plus 1 squared is equal to 4. Take the square root of both sides. Running out of space down here. So that's going to give me k plus 1 is equal to plus or minus 2, because square root of 4 is 2. Okay, I don't think I'm going to need a lot more space. I'll just draw my line here. It's time to subtract 1 from both sides, carefully putting it in the front. Okay, so that's going to give me k equals -1 plus or minus 2. You may not leave it like this. Okay, these are regular numbers, no radical, there's no I, there's nothing to stop us from adding these together. Just understand that this is -1 plus 2 or -1 minus 2. There's your plus or minus. So -1 plus 2 is 1 or -3. So those are the two solutions for, what was that, number 14. Okay, all right, we're down to the last two problems. Okay, 15 and 16. All right, let's get this guy out of the way by adding. So that'll give me 9m squared minus 20m, leave a break, is equal to 21. Do not do half of the middle. Oh man, it's gonna be like ugly. I do not like this one. Okay, in order to be able to do it, I really need to, you know, like bring this 9 out of here. But 9 doesn't go into 20 evenly, so I am going to have to go ugly with it. I was hoping this would not happen in my lifetime. Okay, imagine that I'm forcing this GCF of 9, even though there is no common factor. Remember that when we do the GCF thing, you know, what we really do is we divide everything, right? I mean, what the heck? Anyway, so this is going to be m squared minus 20 over 9m. That's what we would have. What? But then we have to do half of this and square it. Okay? So, 20 over 9. Okay, divided by 2. All right, that would be half of this. Okay, that's 10 over 9, right? Now, if we square that, we're going to get 100 over 81. Okay. Is this really going to come out to a regular answer? All right, I'm intrigued. All right, let's keep going, see what happens. There must be an easier way to do this. Okay, so 100 over 81. Now, I'm not going to add 100 over 81 to both sides. Oh no, I need to multiply this by 9 first. Okay, so that's going to be 9 times 100 over 81. Okay, so that's 100 over 9. I just do not see how this is going to come out right. So I'm really adding 100 over 9 to both sides. Okay. Fascinating. So I'm just going to power through here. So I'm going to go 9. And so this should factor as the same thing twice. So this is going to be m minus, and you know, 10 times 10 is 100. 9 times 9 is 81, so 10 over 9. So it's going to be m minus 10 over 9 twice. All right, this is the ugliest problem I've ever done in my life. M minus 10 over 9. Okay, if I add these together over here, you know, 21 plus 100 over 9. Okay, great. So that's 289 over 9. That's 9, by the way. Okay. So that's going to be the same thing as having 9 times m minus 10 over 9 squared is equal to 289 over 9. Great. Now we would divide both sides by 9 to get rid of this. All right, so those are gone. Okay, I'm running low on space, so I'm going to draw my line. Okay, so this is going to give me m minus 10 over 9 squared is equal to, so 289 over 9 divided by 9. Now I could just hit divided by 9 right now because the 289 over 9 was already there. Alright, so divided by 9 gives me 289 over 81. Okay, this is the point at which we take the square root of both sides. Okay, square root, square root. Don't forget your plus or minus. So this is going to give me m minus 10 over 9 is equal to, and this is, so remember, we could take these square roots separately. So square root of 289 and square root of 81. We could do those separately. So that's going to be m minus 10 over 9. All right, the square root of 289. You should know this one in your head. All right, that is 17. So that's going to be plus or minus 17. Of course, square root of 81 is just 9. Alright, so then we will add 10 over 9 to both sides. Alright, let's put it in the front. So that's going to give me m equals 10 over 9 plus or minus 17 over 9. Okay? So please understand that is two separate answers. Okay? That is 10 over 9 plus 17 over 9, and that is 10 over 9 minus 17 over 9. Three. Well, all that work to get 3. Alright, now if we do minus. Now notice, if I want to be clever, I don't have to type this in again. I can just go up, hit enter, and I can just go back and change this to a minus. And I get negative 7 over 9. Okay, so these are the two solutions. Let's check our answer. 3 and negative 7 over 9. Oh my God. That was a hard problem. Was that the last problem? Please say that was the last problem. No, that wasn't the last problem. Alright, man, the bell's about to ring, so I don't know if I can finish this. Especially, oh, it's another one of those. You know what? Boo! Okay, we got to do one last problem. This is another problem similar to number 15. Very, very difficult, and I'm going to go ahead and say that, you know, if there's one like this on the test, so I know that's what you guys care about, it would be a bonus question. I'll go ahead and just say that one like this, you know, where it doesn't divide evenly and it's all the fractions, this will not be a regular problem on the test or quiz. But you know, you've seen several cases where we've had bonus questions. So if you want, you know, that extra 5 points or whatever it is, you should really try to see if you can master this and get those extra points. But don't stress over it, is what I'm telling you. I'm just talking about number 15 and 16. Right? Everything else we've done today is fair game. Okay. So, having said that, let's get to it. We are going to move this 32 out of the way. So by adding 32 to both sides, like so. So that is going to give us 10x squared minus 4x, leave a space, and that's equal to 32. Now I need to get rid of this 10. Okay, so I'm going to have to pull, alright, this is bothering me. Alright, I'm going to have to pull 10 out of the parentheses, you know? But remember, when you are pulling that 10 away, what you really are doing is you're dividing by 10. Okay? So if I divide by 10, then I'm going to have my x squared minus, now 4 over 10 reduces. Almost all of you can just do that in your head and see that that will be 2 over 5. Okay? Now if you're one of the few people that cannot do that in your head, you know, 4 over 10 Yeah, 2 over 5. There you go. Okay, leave a space. And that's equal to, equal to 32. Okay, now it's time to complete the square. We need half of the middle squared. Okay, and yeah, it's a fraction and everything, but we do have the TI 30. So the middle is 2 over 5. So you know what, I could do this all at once. Okay, so I've got 2 over 5, right? So I want half of that. So I could do 2 over 5 divided by 2. Okay, so that's half of the middle. But then I want it squared. So there's half of the middle squared. Let's see what we have. I don't know why it happened twice, but it's 1 over 25. So half of the middle squared is 1 over 25. Okay? Now if you don't like that, you could have done it in 2 steps. 2 over 5. So half of that is 1/5. Okay? Square that. By the way, notice I can just hit squared and it squares. It says A and S squared. That means take whatever the previous answer is and square it. And it's 1 over 25. Okay, so learn how to use your calculator. So we've got, either way, it's going to be 1 over 25. Now remember, I'm not just going to add 1 over 25 to the other side. It's 1 over 25 times 10, which hopefully you can see would be 10 over 25, because it's just multiplying. I guess this will reduce though, so that would really be 2 over 5. Okay, in fact. Okay, so it's 1 over 25 times 10. That's what's going to be over there. So just looking in your calculator, alright, so it's 10 times 1 over 25. And we know that is what we're going to have to add. But that is 2/5. Okay, 2/5. So that is what we add. So we put 1 over 25 over here, but because it's really 10 times 1 over 25, and that's 2/5, so that's what we have to add over here to balance it out. Now, the point of doing that was so that this would factor as the same thing twice. So we know this is going to factor as the same thing twice. So, that's going to be x times x minus minus. Alright, I see the sign right there, so I know it's going to be minus minus. And 1 over 25 can only be 1/5 times 1/5. Right? Because 5 times 5 is 25, 1 times 1 is 1. So 1/5 times 1/5. Okay? Now, 32 plus 2 over 5 is doable. Okay? 32 plus 2 over 5. Okay? So that's 162 over 5. Okay. You know what? The thing I said about this only showing up as a bonus, I guess I can't guarantee that. We haven't fully discussed it as a math department, and I'm betting that that's what we would all agree to. But there's a small chance that other teachers may argue that, hey, they've got the TI 30, so, doing all these fractions really shouldn't be, a big deal, because the calculator, as you can see, the calculator is really doing it all for them. So, in fact, we should purposefully give them problems like this, because we're allowing them to use the TI 30. I've heard that argument already in meetings, and it may prevail. So I cannot guarantee you that you will not be held responsible for this. That's just my bet, my guess. Alright, so anyway, we've got this. So you just have to solve this for x. So the next move would be to divide both sides by 10. Okay, so it's like I'm dividing by 10, I'm dividing by 10. Alright, because that way those 10s will cancel each other out. And that is going to leave me with x minus 1/5 squared is equal to, now I can literally type this into my calculator, okay, 162 over 5 over 10. Okay, that's one way to do it. Okay, so what was that? 162 over 5. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? Oh, you know what? Let me do it this way. Okay, I could hit my n over d button first. So now in the numerator, I can put 162 over 5. And then I can drop down to the denominator and put over 10. So that's 162 over 5 over 10. Bam! 81 over 25. Now, instead of that, what I could do is 162 over 5 divided by 10 using the old-fashioned division sign. Alright, so a lot of you would probably be more comfortable with that. So let me demonstrate that. I could have done 162 over 5. Okay, and then I could have done divided by 10. So either way, you're going to get 81 over 25. Okay, so 81 over 25. Alright, so now it's time to take the square root of both sides. Alright, so if I take the square root over here, square root of there, don't forget to do your plus or minus as soon as you take the square root of both sides. Okay, so that is going to give me x minus 1/5 is equal to plus or minus. Now both of these are perfect squares, so you should be able to do this in your head. Square root of 81 is 9, and square root of 25 is 5. Okay, so the square root of 81 over 25 would be 9/5. So I've got this. Now we would add 1/5 to both sides to get rid of this. So plus 1/5 and plus 1/5. Okay, do not try to add these together right now and then just stick a plus or minus on it. That would be wrong. Instead, what we will do is this. Alright, so I'm going to need some space here. Okay, so what I have is, alright, x equals, alright, these are gone. So, and remember how we put this in the front. So I'm going to put this 1/5 in the front. So I've got 1/5, okay, plus or minus 9/5. Alright? So please understand that this really means two different things. This means 1/5 plus 9/5, and it means 1/5 minus 9/5. Okay, that's what it really means. So we're gonna do these separately. So 1/5 plus 9/5. Okay, you know, you really should be able to do this in your head. You know, the denominators are the same. So 1/5 plus 9/5 is going to be 10/5. Okay, and which is 2. Alright, that's how you add fractions. You keep that denominator, you add the numerator. 1/5, 9/5, that's 10/5, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. Alright, 1/5 minus 9/5. What's 1 minus 9? Well, that's -8, right? So this would be -8/5. which doesn't reduce any further. So the two answers should be 2 and -8/5. Okay? Alright, of course, if somehow you did not follow what I just did there, you could use your calculator. 1/5 plus 9/5. Okay, it's 1/5 plus 9/5. Okay, and you see that that is 2. Alright, now I could do 1/5 minus 9/5. And you see that is -8/5. Okay, so that is it. For now, you better know it, just in case it's not the bonus. I mean, it's really the same as all the other problems on the back page here, just the fractions. But you do have the TI-30, so, you know, it really shouldn't be that bad. I did ask the other teachers in case there was an easier way that I wasn't thinking about. And they said, nope, there's not an easier way. This is just what it is. So everybody agrees that it just, you know, this is just how you do it. Alright, that's the end of this video. Don't copy it. Even this one. Well, okay, probably. If you were going to copy it, you already did it. But shame on you if you just copied me doing it. You should right now go back, take a scratch sheet of paper, and see if you can do the problem yourself without copying. Alright, bye-bye. It's Saturday morning, by the way. You know, just so you know. This is how it goes for me.